All right, in this example, we have cotangent squared over 1 plus cosecant is equal to cotangent times secant minus tangent. So in this one, it's not clear what is the easiest or what is the most complicated side. So it's maybe a little bit difficult to see where to start. I think that starting with the fraction side is going to be better because usually working to get rid of a fraction is a little bit easier than trying to build up a fraction. Not always, but that's a good rule of thumb if you're totally stuck. Also, if you're totally stuck, just try something, okay? So if you're looking at this and you're like, all right, well, I've decided I'm going to work on the left, but I don't know how this is going to end up at this. Just try a thing and see if you can get somewhere that's productive. Because a lot of times you'll make a substitution or something, and some things will simplify, and then you'll see the path to the end. So this right here, I'm going to notice that cotangent squared is equal to cosecant squared minus 1. And so I'm going to change that out first. Cosecant squared x minus 1 divided by 1 plus cosecant of x. All right, then I'm going to factor the top. Again, I'm not 100% sure how this is going to end up here, but I'm just going to follow the algebra for a little while and see what happens. So then on top I have cosecant of x minus 1 times cosecant of x plus 1 divided by 1 plus cosecant of x right here. And so what you might notice is that I have a cosecant x plus 1 on top and a cosecant x plus 1 on the bottom. Those simplify to 1. And so what I end up with is cosecant of x minus 1. Now, it's really not clear how you go from cosecant x minus 1 to here. So we can use a new technique that wasn't in any of the other videos. We can take the right-hand side, do some work on that, and see if we can figure out how this might end up here. And then we'll connect those two pieces of work. So let's do that over here. So sketch that out. And so we're going to take this cotangent of x times secant of x minus tangent of x. And we're going to work on this. And because I think I'm at the edge of the camera, I'm going to shuffle the equal sign over to the left here. The first thing that I'm going to do is change this all to sines and cosines. So this will end up being cosine of x divided by sine of x times 1 over cosine of x minus sine x over cosine of x. And so then I'm going to distribute this cosine over sine over the parentheses here. So I'll end up with cosine of x over sine cosine minus cosine sine over sine cosine. All right, and so from there, I'm going to simplify. Cosine over cosine is 1 over 1, so that becomes 1 over sine. And then this cosine over cosine and sine over sine becomes just 1. So I end up with cosecant of x minus 1. In other words, now we know how to go from cosecant of x to what was on the right. Okay, so the way that we're going to do this is I'm going to take a couple of these steps over, and then we'll end up with the result here. So I'm almost going to work up. So I've got cosine x minus 1. I'm going to import this step here to show that that's 1 over sine of x minus 1. That's pretty clear. All right, and then I'm going to write out that this is, now because I've got all of this work over here, I don't need to show every single thing in my final proof. So I'm not going to show this step necessarily, but I'm going to show this and then the final step. So this is cosine over sine times 1 over cosine minus sine over cosine, like that. And this is bad form, but you can pretty clearly see that this is going to jump to cotangent times secant minus tangent. So usually I write this below, okay, but I'm going to write it to the right because I ran out of space on the board. So this ends up being cotangent of x times secant of x minus tangent of x. Okay. All right, so again, this is a technique where if you get totally stumped and you're totally stuck, try working the right-hand side down to the point where you got stuck. Now you know the steps to work to the right-hand side, okay? And that's as complicated as these will get in this section. So that's it.